Okay. Okay. All right.
Hi. Do we have, which camera is on? Can you turn it?
Oh, that I have to switch. First, I had it pointing to the classroom because we were all eating, and now it's
I like the setup. I'm coming here.
there we go. Now it's set up. So just always remember the camera is there, even though the TV's on the opposite side. We probably should have thought about that. But that's another story. Now we're all set whenever you're ready to go. That should be not that way, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm gonna keep them out just in case it's like people in the room and things like that.
Yeah.
Things, but and then you can give me a look or say next, and I'll just switch it for you.
Okay, cool.
All right, guys.
All right, guys, we're going to get started. Grab a seat. I know a couple of people are just grabbing sandwiches. Sure.
Hi, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're so happy. It's so nice to be in the room with everybody again and see people and have conversations. So we are very, very lucky today to have Mrs. What did I say? Awesome, genius. Blatant suck up, and I'm just fine with that. But Lisa's genius is in the fact that she really understands real estate and New Jersey real estate. So what she's going to provide to you today are the differences, tell you how to get there. And for those of you that have your New Jersey licenses already, she's also going to be doing some forms classes for us in the future as well. So dipping in. What's that? Where's Dan? Okay. Yeah, okay. I don't know where the mouse is. I don't have it. Okay, so we'll figure that out. Okay, so without further ado, you're on. Thank you, Miss Lisa.
Ta-da! Thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, it is so great to be back in person. You guys are my first like real in person, so this is really cool. So I did a lot of, some of you I know were on the class about getting your New Jersey license. I hope that has inspired you to go ahead and apply for your New York certification. You're going for the waiver and then apply for, I see Brenda shaking her head because you're doing it today, right after you leave here, right? Of course, I'm gonna follow up with you. So Danika's going around and collecting all your email addresses so I can really want you. No, but it's really very beneficial to you. You know, you're always looking to how do you grow your business, and this is one of the most logical and easiest ways to do it because really we're in Rockland. We're right on the border of Bergen, and I'm sure a lot of you have noticed in Rockland, you know, we're not a huge market here in Rockland County, so your business has a little bit diminished. Right? Especially in the market that we're in right now. It's a tough market. So you really need every edge you can to really just grow that business. Okay, so Dan, are you, oh, you know what?
May I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
So there is reciprocity for the hours for the New York State course to Jersey?
Okay, so there are a few different ways to go about getting your New Jersey license.
I'm licensed in both states. I'm just curious.
Okay, so if I'll just recap it really quickly. So if you were licensed before 2008 in New York and you want to get your license, you do need to take an additional 30 hours in New York of education, and then you would apply for your waiver. If you were licensed after 2008, then you can, and you've been licensed for 3 years in New York as a full-time agent, you can apply for your waiver in New Jersey. You apply for your certificate of licensure from New York. They send that, and you send that right over with your application for your waiver to New Jersey, and then you have to take the test. Right, so you don't get around taking the test. You have to take the test. Everyone's got to take the test and pass because they do want to know that you know a little bit about what you're doing. Okay.
So 3 years minimum.
3 years, or you can just take the 75-hour class.
Gotcha. Because I got licensed in Jersey first, because it was easier.
Yes. So if you know of somebody that is just getting into real estate and they're thinking and they're like, should I get licensed in New York or New Jersey? Go take New Jersey, get licensed in New Jersey first, because then New York doesn't care if you're already licensed, how many years. So as the day after you pass your New Jersey test, then you can apply for your waiver into New York and take your New York test, and boom, your license in both states. Okay? All right, so let's get started.
Can I ask one question, please?
Sure.
I'm sorry. If you have a license before 2008, what did you say?
So if you're licensed before 2008, it means you only took 45 hours of schooling to get your license in New York. So you'll have to take an additional 30 hours in New York, and then you can apply for your waiver.
Do I have to take a test?
Yes, you'll still have to take the test. That's the waiver of education. Or you can just take 75 hours in New Jersey. They are offered online because of COVID. They're still online. New Jersey was never an online state. We're hoping that it stays that way, that they, remain to be able to have the licensure, the course online, but right now it is. So if that's something that you're considering, now is the time to do it while it's still over Zoom.
Is that true if you're an associate broker here, which means you already probably took those extra 30 hours?
Yes.
So you still have to take 30 more hours in New York?
You have, so it case by case basis, but you had the salesperson, but now you're an associate
I
broker.
was an associate broker when I got my Jersey license, which is now expired.
Okay,
So I'm sure I'd be case by case. So I already
Yeah.
have the Jersey
yeah,
license.
especially since you already had it. I had told Matt to call up, you should call up the real estate commission. They actually answer the phone. Which is nice. Call them first thing in the morning. Yeah, because a lot of times you can't reach anyone, but call them first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
and they are pretty helpful over there.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I want to move on and get started. And Dan, I don't know why this is not moving to the slide.
No, now it'll work.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay, so first and foremost, I would really love it if you guys all followed us. So Liz told you a little bit about me. I now actually I am working with Anthony Nicholas, who has the Nicholas team at Cross Country Mortgage. And he's really the reason that I'm here today. It's kind of our little give to you guys in working with us. But this is our Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So there are QR codes there. If you're online, you can just hold your camera right up to scan it. And we also have sheets in the back that you guys can take, scan, or just go to those sites to follow us. We'd appreciate that. So the 3 takeaways I really want you to get, these are nothing really flashy, but they're just real simple. I want you to know how to find information about Bergen County. And I'm gearing this a little bit towards Bergen County because, Jersey is huge, and the most logical place that you would be doing business in New Jersey is Bergen County, which is, right next door to us. I want you to learn, whoops,
That was me.
that's okay. The basic differences between doing business in Rockland and Bergen, and then just some of the key forms that you're going to encounter in Bergen County. So I know some of you haven't gotten your license yet, but others have. So let's just talk about, again, I'm going to focus on Rockland and Bergen County. And if you were in my other class, you did see this. And it's just to kind of give you a real, perspective of what you're dealing with. Your business in Rockland County is a little over 330,000 people that live here. In Bergen County, your population is almost 1 million. So you have tripled the amount of population. And when you start looking at the actual counties that you're in, Rockland County has, let's look at how much business was done. Last year, 3,509 units were sold in Rockland County. But then when you look at Bergen County, which I'm sorry, the camera's hiding it, but it's about 11,000 and change. So again, 11,622 units. So you can see the opportunity. And when you look at, the maps, I'm a big map person. And if you're doing business in Bergen, you have to become a little bit of a map person because you will live by these maps. I tell everybody, print out this map of Bergen County. You can just Google it. You'll find 1 million different maps, print one out. And that's going to become your best friend, because Bergen is actually, it's a little overwhelming. And I think a lot of people don't get their license because they go, oh my God, I don't know anything about Bergen County. And you don't have to. You have to know where to find the information and how to get there, and you'll be able to do it. When I started, I want to say about 10 years ago in Bergen County, I knew nothing about Bergen County, but yet I wrote guides on practically every single town in Bergen County. And then when I started really in real estate about 17, 18 years ago now, I grew up in North Rockland. I'm a North Rockland girl. I didn't know where Palisades was. I didn't know Piermont. One of my first clients was in Piermont, and I'm like, where the hell is Piermont? Like, wait, I know that's like South Rockland. Like, seriously, I mean, but it's the same thing. It's just learning a new area. And if you look at, just take a look at the maps. In Rockland County, there's 5 towns, and we all know, we really have hamlets that are incorporated or incorporated villages. There's about 19 of them. So it's pretty easy to learn, right? And people, when they want to search for a home in Rockland, they come to you, and typically, what are they asking for? A school district, right? That's how we know in Rockland. Your client comes and they said, oh, I want to be in the Clarkstown School District. I want to be in North Rockland. I want it wherever it be. I mean, you have 5 choices. You have your 5 districts, right? In Bergen, now take a look at Bergen County. Can you guesstimate how many towns are in Bergen County?
Looks like 1,000.
70 towns.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, this is why this map becomes your best friend, because you can, how this is color coded. I'm a big color code junkie. I used to color code towns where your trains are, color code, on my map, I could have Per River equals Rivervale, very similar, Westwood, you like that vibe, and you get a feel, and you can easily acclimate and go, hey, you're looking in Westwood, in Jersey, did you ever think about Per River in Rockland, or vice versa? It makes you be the star and really know, I know my area. I mean, this is your backyard. So when I talk about how you get the information and how easy it is, Anthony was laughing at me because he never used Wikipedia before, but I love Wikipedia. So that is always my first go-to place when I'm talking about a town in Bergen. So I get a lead and someone says, I'm looking for a house in Demarest. Well, I go right to Wikipedia because I don't know anything about Demarest. And that's going to give me, in a nutshell, a real just basic view of what Demarest is like. And then in the MLS, the New Jersey MLSs, when you go in, if you pull up any listing that is in Demarest, you can click on Demarest and you're going to get what's shown at the bottom, where you can see some real quick stats about it. You can then click on the demographics, the geography. So you'll see, right down here, it's going to give you your schools, your amenities. I mean, real quick, you can just go in and figure out what's what. The other thing that's going to become your best friend is, again, in the MLS, you'll see where the street is also highlighted in blue. You click on that, it's giving you your map. You will learn in New Jersey, every single house you go to visit, you want to click on that map and you want to look at the satellite view, because there are lots of surprises in Bergen. We're all over Jersey. Remember, Jersey is a lot older than Rockland. Rockland was really came about in the late 1700s. Bergen was early 1600s. You have some old houses, you have a lot of stuff around. So that's one of the things you just want to be aware of when you're looking and selling in Bergen County. The other thing is something that we have at Cross Country Mortgage, and that's what we call our real estate report card. Like, these are good things. We have, again, I just popped in the counties. So I popped in Rockland County and Bergen County, and this is something great to share with your clients. So if you meet a client and they're telling you, my budget's $550. Okay, so here goes your buyer consultation, right? Okay, you're looking in Rockland, you're telling me everything you want. Ding, ding, ding. You said Pearl River. Now I'm thinking also, well, maybe they would like Westwood, because Westwood may be a little bit cheaper in price, a little bit same. Oh, I know the taxes are lower. Again, your map, go to your map that you take notes on, and you can say, Hey, but in that buyer consultation, you're asking them what? You're asking them what they do for a living. Or let's say they're downsizing, they're retired. What did you do for a living? Very important, because you want to know that, oh, you were a teacher or you were a cop. Guess what? You probably have a really good pension. That's going to cancel out in New Jersey because they're going to tax you up the wazoo for that. So, simple things like that. But this is just a great way for them to compare counties if they are looking in both New York and New Jersey.
Question.
Mhm.
What you said about tax, if you're at the pension, you'll be taxed afterwards. Can you explain that?
So, look, anytime I have anyone that says they retired and collecting a pension, I'm not the expert at everything, right? What is my expertise? I'm a realtor. So my expertise is finding you a great home and negotiating a really good price for you. That's my lane, and I stay in my lane. So when someone says to me, I'm retired, I have a pension coming in, and I'm looking in multiple places or moving from one state to another, ding, 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 the alarm should go off, and you should be saying, okay, did you check with your accountant? Not a question I want you to answer. You have to direct them to the right person. And, oh, you're thinking of moving to the area? I have a great account for you. That's your referral partner, right? That's going to give you business back. So you're referring to them. So yes, in Jersey, there are certain things like pensions. When you have a New York pension, they're going to tax where you're not being taxed in New York. Okay.
I got another question. With cross-country county,
Cross-country mortgage.
country, is there a way to drill down into certain boroughs, towns?
You can go by towns. I just pulled the big geographical of Rockland County and Bergen County, but then you can drill down further and get a forecast, a report card for each specific town.
Where would we go to?
You would call me or you would call Anthony? Who I will have, you'll meet Anthony. I'll talk a little bit about some of these slides at the end of this. Okay. This is another report that we have. I call this the pretty report. So if you just, showing and you're sitting with your clients, again, I just pulled the demographics of Rockland County and Bergen County, and it just goes into the stats, the demographics, your education and housing, buildings by decade, and crime. So just a real general. So again, it's helping you if you're not super familiar with the area. These are great talking points for you to share with your clients. So I briefly touched on when I talked about the map being your best friends. When I first started in Bergen County, and I was like, okay, a lot of people are commuting to the city. Big question. You need to know where your trains are, where your buses are. You don't have to memorize schedules or things like that. That's not about getting detailed like that. But you definitely want to know your train lines, and you want to know what towns. So, that Bergen County map, I used to have like 10 copies. One would be, I had color coded in yellow. That's this train line. So if you're telling me you need to be on the train and I now know your price range, bing, I can put you near the train stop that you need to be based on the home value. That again, quickly look at some reports and you'll know your home value in each town. You'll know what they are. Are they a suburban feeling town? Are they a walk, village town? They all have different vibes. So you'll learn that slowly over a period of time. But I was recently at an open house with somebody in New Jersey, and a buyer came in, said they weren't working with a realtor. And I'm going, great opportunity. Like, there you go. They weren't interested in this house that the realtor was at. And they said, yeah, we commute to the city. And the realtor went, oh yeah, so there's a train right nearby. And I went, what the hell is she talking about? And I could see on the client's face, yeah, okay, like they didn't even say anything, and they walked out the door, and I'm like, yeah, and it was a very big, very expensive lead that walked out the door. And guess what? There is a train nearby. However, it's the freight train. So clearly, by not knowing and doing 5 minutes worth of research, that client that could have been that agent's client, gone. Right? What are we doing an open house for? We're doing the open house to sell the house first and then to pick up clients. So that was a missed, golden opportunity missed. So some basic things like this you want to know. And also, big thing is your bridges. Get them having a conversation. Remember, you're going to become a dual agent, right? I represent New York, New Jersey. I'm really focused on Bergen and Rockland. How's one getting to the city? You know, and the tolls, they come into play. They really do, you know, and the traffic. So way back when I used to commute to the city in my other lifetime, I used to take in the morning, it was a very thought out plan. My commute down to the office was in the morning over the Tappan Zee Bridge, because that was real cheap if I had the easy path. And I had the Harlem River Bridge, which was 75 cents back then. Easy breezy. And then I'd circle back and come back up. That put me down and I'd go down on the east side. But then on the way back, I'd come back up the west side and go up the GW Bridge because it was free. So, you know, I knew, but then if there was traffic, I knew, you know, which ways. If I'm down in Jersey, if I'm in Old Tappan or heading down in Dumont, I'm not hitting Tappan Zee Bridge like GW, or I go down and back up. So you just need to have a general brief understanding about this. So taxes are another biggie. And this is really being a Rockland agent where it's going to be so beneficial for you, because if you know that your tax rate, first of all, in Rockland, figure out taxes. Who can figure out a house taxes on a house? You can't. And when you call up, they go, well, let's see, we got, okay, you got your town and county, you got your village taxes if it's an incorporated village, you have your school taxes, oh, star, you know, you'll have to apply for star and get star back, and then how many bathrooms, how many this and that and the other thing. They have this whole convoluted little thing that they do to figure out your taxes. So you can never figure out what they are. In Jersey, look up the town. Oh, my tax rate is 2.2%. Great. Here's my house sale. There's your taxes. Done. Very easy. Closings is a biggie on taxes. And let me show you. Because here is a sample of the same house price, sales price, 500,000, taxes, 13,000, 3.75% interest rate. If I put 3% down in New Jersey, I have to come up with a little over 26,000. Guess what? In Rockland, I have to come up with a little over 40,000, right? So I'm pricing people out because of the closing costs in Rockland. So if I'm now having my license in Jersey, and again, I'm just using Pearl River as, because it's right there on the border, and okay, so you know what? You don't have the 40,000, or let's say they want to put 10% down. You don't have 75,000 extra to do the closing? Okay, well, I can get you down to 61. Like, let's go over the border. You know, gives more opportunities so you're not losing those buyers, you know, and they're going to be super impressed with you that you have this knowledge. And again, this is charts. These are things that we can help put together for you. So this is not something that you need to go learning all these different numbers and everything. We don't want you to do that. Stay in your lane and let us help you.
Okay, you pitch it?
Of course.
Yeah, I need this slide.
Okay, so I already spoke about the pensions. Another difference is a CCO. Does anyone know what a CCO is? Continued certificate of occupancy. So, right, we know what a CO is. Certificate of occupancy. This is a continuing certificate of occupancy. There are only, I want to say, 2 towns, Teaneck and someplace else in Bergen, that don't require a CCO. But what it is that like each town is different, anywhere from 30 days, 90 days out from a closing. The seller has to apply for a CCO, and the town must come, the fire inspector and the building inspector, 2 different inspectors.
Yeah, they have this in Habistraw as well.
Habistraw and Piermont, right?
And I don't know if South Orange Town is doing it. They're also doing it in Dobbsbury and I believe in White Plains as well.
Yeah, Habistraw has always,
Yeah.
Piermont also was getting into
Oh, the
doing.
Village of Piermont.
Village.
Yes.
It's
okay.
usually more of a village thing I found in Rockland that they do it. Yeah, so if your seller did anything, guess what? They're gonna find out about it. There's no secrets. They're not hiding it. So you need to know that. And if you're a buyer's agent, you need to be on that because, you know, as you get closer towards the closing, you want to be calling the agent, the listing agent, and go, hey, did your client get the CCO? As a listing agent, you want to be on the seller and go, here's the application for the CCO. You fill it out, give me a check, and I'll go drop it off. And if you're really useful to your clients, you're over there sitting, waiting for the inspectors to. That's what a lot of the agents in Jersey's do, because you know what, your client's never going to get it done and it screws up your deal.
Who typically goes to that inspection? Does the agent, does the listing agent go to the house while the inspector's there, or they go typically by themselves?
I mean, someone has to be there at the house to let them in. Doesn't matter who it is. Yeah.
Yeah, the cat is the homeowners, they're the ones that have
Right,
to cure
right.
it, so.
So it wouldn't be the listing agent letting them in.
It could be,
Yeah.
a lot of times it is for their seller.
Yeah.
Yeah, because really what they're looking for is, well, we already know, we've had this conversation already with our seller, like, okay, you did that entire basement, all right, we're gonna hold our breath, but they're probably gonna catch it. But you know what, there are times that they don't, so you know, it's not an always. And then the fire inspector, when they come in, the fire inspector is going, okay, got my fire, I have my alarms and fire extinguisher. That's got to be placed very specifically somewhere in the kitchen. They have these dimensions 4 feet off the floor. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. But they do it. And then they charge the homeowner if they have to come back.
Right, and these are huge money making
Yes, things for the town.
opportunities for the town.
Absolutely, yes. So they're very big on this.
Do you happen to have like a checklist of like a general checklist that would be good for like a seller? prep
No,
them for
each
this?
town is different.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just go on to, you just Google the town and just go on to their town site. And they have it, the information right there. You just plug in CCO and every town has them.
Gotcha.
She pretty much answered my
Oh,
question.
okay. Yeah. And again, it's the people that have done the things where they never went for a permit. Those are the problem childs that we have here too, but. I'm just lightly going to touch on some of like the advertising, because I really know this is like a whole other class of advertising. Just simple things that you need to know is if you're advertising that your brokerage name needs to be bigger or more prominent than your name.
It's the same way.
Yeah, it is, that has to be, okay. The only realtor titles that New York and New Jersey actually agree upon is salesperson and associate broker. So if you have a business card with some other different thing on it, you know, and you want to use one, I mean, I see names where it's like New York, this, New Jersey, that, but these are the two that they agree upon. So you're safe if you're calling yourself a salesperson. You know, in New York, I know it's real estate licensed salesperson. But as long as you're using those titles, you're good to go. Interestingly, in the teams, so in New York, the actual, if you look up the definition in for real estate of what a team is in New York, it's one realtor and another person that can be your assistant, and you can be, boom, you're a team. In New Jersey, there's no official definition, and no one seems to want to answer what a team is. So basically everyone considers the team as 2 or more salespeople. So just something to think about and have in the back of your mind. And the other thing is lottos, lotteries, games, or drawings. Big no-no in New Jersey. They don't like you using any of that to get leads, to sell a house, to bring people to an open house. You just can't do it. And I've kind of gone back and forth because there's really no case law or anything about this or actual code about it. But the real estate commission just really frowns upon it and they say, no, just don't do it. So that's kind of what we go with. Dan, I'm not moving. There you go. Okay, paperwork. Did you distribute, Liz, sent out to everybody the paperwork?
No, that would
Okay.
be, oh crap.
Okay, that's okay.
I meant to do that and then, all right. But I will have it, it will be on the drive and I can get it to everybody.
Okay, so again, I'm not going in, she said, I was gonna do a packet and I'm like, oh shit, I can't print this out. This is like 60 something pages that I'm not like overwhelming you. I just want you to kind of get an idea of some of the different or just, some of it's the same as New York, but let me just quickly go through it. So the first thing is your consumer information statement. That is basically, in essence, the same as your New York agency disclosure. The little nuance is if you go and you read and you learn in school that, well, you don't have to sign it. And there is 4 different versions when you look it up in your New Jersey Association of Realtors. So the first one you look up and the second one are the ones you want to focus on. The first one doesn't have a place to sign. So they love their forms in New Jersey, that I will tell you. The second one is the one you want to use, CISB, Consumer Information Sheet B. That one has signature lines. And you want to get them to sign it just like you would in New York when you first meet them. Now, the rule is that you don't have them sign it, but you have to give it to them. Again, gets a little crazy, so just stick with what you do in New York and you give it when you first meet them. You're first having that real conversation about real estate. That's when you disclose it and you give it to them. Your informed consent to dual agency, again, very similar to New York's. I always say, if you're printing it out, print this one on one side. You can use the A with no signature and then flip it over and print the informed consent on the other. Little tips to the trade. And this way, boom, you're covered in both respects. We have a form for waiver of inspection. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed one. Your buyer agency agreement. So just, take a look at them. There's 2 different ones in there. Again, one is that they're similar to New York's, the buyer, agreement to work with you. One does have a rebate in it. Don't get caught up in rebates. You can't give rebates, only your brokerage can give rebates, and we really don't work with that. It's really if you're doing relocation business, okay? Your buyer's waiver of inspection and or appraisal is a great form. I don't know if you have one of those in New York, but it really is a good form to cover your butts in this market right now. Okay, because we're all sitting there saying like, oh my God, I can never tell you to waive your inspection or waive your appraisal. But you're not gonna get the house unless you do it, because that's what everyone's doing. But I'm not telling you to do it, but you gotta do it. So this is, just a little bit, you have it, you have them, let them sign it if you're doing it, that says you shouldn't do it. And I've told you that you shouldn't do it, but we're gonna do it anyway. Okay, your contract, we have all offers are made through a contract in New Jersey, except for your commercial or for co-ops. Those are made with a non-binding term sheet, which is basically your purchase offer agreement like you do in New York. Your contract is what we'll be going over on, I believe it's the 31st. It is a long document that you actually should understand what it means, because it'll help you be a better negotiator when you know how to fill those out. It will also help you get the offer, because so many times I see someone, they say, I know how to do a contract, and they're just copying one from another, and they really don't understand what's in it. So when they fill it out or they leave things out or it's filled out wrong, guess what? I have 20, 30 offers. And I got a half filled out contract. Do I really want to do business with you? Are you going to make my life easier? You're not. It shows me that you don't know what you're doing, especially that I see KW in New York. Sorry, your offer just got signed over here. So that's why it's really important. It's going to benefit you to do this. Okay.
Did you say you were having a class on contracts on the 31st?
Yes, 31st.
Yes, I think it's the 31st. Yeah, Lisa's gonna be coming back to us a lot. She's not dead away, so.
Same time?
I believe.
I think so, yeah. I'll send a notice out about it. So just so you know, for those, everybody's getting this. I have a list of everybody that's here. I'm gonna forward it to them. And for those of you that are on the Zoom, I'm sending it to Colin and he's gonna share it with everybody and they can pull the link off of there. I'm sorry about that, guys.
I have a question. What type of contract do you need for a commercial lease?
You don't do the contract, you do what's called a letter of intent, which basically is a letter.
Okay.
With just, it just says, hi, my client is so-and-so, and this is what we're expecting the offer to be. And then it'll go to the attorney hands. And the
It's
attorney writes
basically
the
an offer to
contract.
purchase
Mhm.
for New Jersey.
Yeah.
Like a New York offer to purchase. Like that's essentially what it looks like. It's the same information.
Yeah.
Is there like an MLS form or a?
It's not literally, so they know, someone will tell if you're a residential agent as opposed to a commercial agent and knowing what you're doing in commercial. Because if you use the standard form, they're going, okay, it's a residential agent. If you do it in a letter format, dear so-and-so, as an actual letter, that says, I'm a commercial, I know what I'm doing in commercial. So just little nuances like that. Oprah. Oprah is basically your FOIL. Okay, and we actually have a form that you can give to your client that tells them everything that they will be getting when they request information from a town through an Oprah request. Every town has their own. Again, you go onto their site and you just type in Oprah and a form will pop up. And they just recently passed, for a short period of time, buyers agents were not allowed to do this for their client because they were not being protected under the Consumer's Information, but the Consumers Fraud Act, but they have now approved it, so both buyers and sellers are protected. So again, don't go crazy with it. It's FOIL, right? We all know what FOIL is.
No,
I forgot.
What is it?
freedom of information law.
Freedom of information law, right? So you go to the town and you say, I'd like some information about this house that my client's interested in buying, and you can, it's free public access to the records. Okay. Last is, and I'm sure you have one like this in New York as well, owner's confirmation of receipt of written offer. And, you know, I hear it a million times, Lisa, I've submitted it and I'll get it back. Well, it's up to you, you know, to drive your business and how forceful you want to be with these things. And, you know, I guess we pick and choose our battles, but in New Jersey, through our board, Greater Bergen Association of Realtors, we have a quick link on there for citations that agents can literally go on and fill out a complaint about an agent. And it goes, you could do it anonymously. It can stay anonymous if the agent accepts it, pays the fine, and we move on. If they want to fight it, then it can't be anonymous. But yeah, so you can get fined for not complying. And again, this is agent driven. We came up with this about 2 years ago. I'm very involved with the board association. I'm on the board. But again, up to you guys to drive your business, both here in New York and New Jersey.
It's not going.
Nope. Dan, you're the new clicker.
When I admit someone, we have to click into the slide to get the.
Okay.
working.
That's fine. You can just click. So for seller paperwork, your listing agreement is, you know, very similar to New York's listing agreement. There are a few little nuances on it, which include your separate document that goes with it, which is, bless you, your commission split. So you have to disclose that with your listing agreements. Also, I mean, you have a fair housing notice now in New York as well. That's included with your listing agreement. You have your consent for your regular CIS that I talked about, and your dual agency, just like you do in New York, and your worksheet, just like in New York. Oprah, I mentioned. Seller's property condition disclosure. So what do we say in New York about the seller property condition disclosure? What do you tell your seller?
From attorneys.
Do you tell it to waive it?
No.
No, talk to your attorney.
Attorney.
Yeah, thank you. Ding, ding, ding. So, okay, now let's go 30 feet down the road, right? So I'm in Palisades and I go boom, boom, boom. Okay, look, I'm in Rockley. And guess what I'm telling my seller in Rockley? Property condition, it's not required. New York, right? Over here, it's required. If you don't do it, you're gonna pay $500 at the closing. In New Jersey, not required. But guess what? If you don't do it and you don't have it uploaded in documents in your listing, people are going, what's wrong with the house? Why don't they have a disclosure? Where's the disclosure? So something you need to know about, because you need to prep your buyer if you're working with a buyer as to why they're not seeing it in New York and why they are seeing it in New Jersey.
But in this current market, if you push for it, it's a negative because it comes across as you being difficult. So
But I still think you still see them in New Jersey. You still see them. Yeah, because it gives the house almost a little bit of a stigma if you don't have it attached. People are already going like, what's wrong with the house? Why are they not disclosing? They must be hiding something. Yeah, so very interesting to see the two different mindsets when you're really just going around the block. Dan? Oh, there we go.
It worked.
Yep, worked. Okay. So the offer, as I mentioned, the contract, right? So you do a contract in New Jersey, you're making your offer through the contract, your contract is accepted, it's signed, it's given back to you and to your client. That's the key, because the trigger is when it goes back to your client, you now have what's called attorney review period. Okay, so it's marked in the system as being ARIPT. And what that means is you have 3 days to get that contract to your buyer or your seller's attorney. And the attorneys will then reject the contract. Okay, so that's really, you have 3 days. It's talking about the timing of when you have to get your contract to the attorney. Okay, does anyone know what happens if you don't get it to the attorney in 3 days?
On to the next offer.
Nope. You have a binding contract.
Hmm.
As you wrote it up. So guess what? If you screwed it up, not good. But, automatically you just know ahead of time, you're making offers, you have, again, you're a team, right? We always have our team players. You've referred your attorney that you work with a lot, Go ahead, Vinny.
What if you write it subject to attorney review and
No.
3 days passes?
No. The first page of a contract is called an opinion 26. And that first page of your contract says, this is a contract. You have to get this to your attorney to review it. Only the attorney, once that contract is signed by both parties and delivered to both parties, it's a fully binding contract, which only an attorney can break. So you sign it, everyone agrees, everyone has a copy of the signed contract, and they say, you know what, we're gonna back out, and you call the agent, and you go, you know what, they're gonna back out. You still have a contract. It has to go through the attorney. The attorney is the only one that can cancel that once it's signed. Yeah, so that's very important to remember.
What if, I know in New York, they don't necessarily respond so quickly, what if the attorney's on vacation and they don't respond?
Well, hopefully the attorney is part of your team, right? Again, big thing, right? You want to have your team players, your referral partners. This is one of your referral partners, and don't refer someone to an attorney unless you know they're there.
Right, so it's like a Friday afternoon and you submit, you really, is it business day, so you only have till Monday then?
No, it's business days. Yeah, so you submit it on Friday, you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay, so that's.
Yeah. I've never known anybody to actually be held and stuck in a contract. It's just the norm. They get it, they spit it out. I mean, even the attorney doesn't have to be there. The paralegal could spit it out. The paralegals do have to work for them anyway.
Right, but you know what, it's just like when you're doing business in New York, you don't ever just send a client to an attorney without having a phone call, heads up, this is coming through, this is who it is, here's the deal sheet, this is what's going on. So it's the same kind of thing, you have to have those conversations to make sure that everything, because, we pick up things that people don't necessarily, because we're so involved in the transaction.
Absolutely.
When does that clock start ticking? Is it when the seller signs or the buyer signs?
When the buyer gets it back, fully executed contract that both parties have. Yeah. So technically, I mean, you can always fight. My buyer never got the fully executed contract. The agent got it. The agent can't bind it. Bottom line is just get it right to your attorney. I don't know why you wouldn't.
Right.
Just like Liz said, in New York, you're get accepted offer. Awesome, great. You're on the phone with your attorney going, okay, spit out that contract now. Like, let's get this done. Let's wrap it up. Sooner you wrap it up, sooner I get paid. So the other thing is your inspection. Keep in mind, in New York, you do your inspection before, right? In New Jersey, the inspection is done after. So we go, you go ARIP. The attorney has the contract now. So now the contract is in limbo mode. This is what you want to know if that attorney is going away, because you don't want your contract hanging in limbo mode, because guess what, other offers can come in and boom, there goes your offer. So while it's in limbo mode, the attorneys go back and forth, and now they do another document, and we'll kind of go over this in the next class. That document is the rider, which basically says, okay, we're we're taking back the contract. And the contract is now reincorporated with this rider. Anything that conflicts the rider will override. So that contract remains an actual part of the deal. That's your contract that you're writing is it. Certain parts will be overridden in the rider. Okay, as soon as the attorneys say, okay, everyone's agreed now on the rider, parties have both signed off on the rider, we are officially now under contract, full under contract, can't breach it. Oh, except for it's contingent on the inspection. So now you go do the inspection and either you or the attorney will go back and forth if there's anything to negotiate for the inspection.
How long does the buyer have to complete that inspection after physically executing contract?
So in the contract, there's a default period of 14 days once it's out of attorney review. But in this market, I mean, there are a lot of blanks, and again, we'll go over the contracts. I always tell everyone shorten that up because you don't want this hanging out there for another 14 days. If you have to then negotiate something, you're in contract for a month, your deal could fall apart. And now you've spent a ton of time on this, and so is your client has gotten more and more invested. So you don't want to you want to tighten things up and button them up as quick as you can.
So that deal, even though it's under contract prior to inspection, can be blown up for any reason?
Yes.
So either side, buyer or seller.
But once you get past that and you're good to go, your closing is so much easier. It's faster. Your dates that you put in that contract, you're not putting in an on or about
Yeah,
date.
there is no honor about it.
Yeah, it's okay. We're closing on May 15th. Okay, May 15th comes around and it's like you're expecting to close on May 15th. Like that's the date. So it's not a here, let's talk about, oh, you want to move next month? Okay, I'll just do an on or about. The attorneys will figure it out and you'll come to an agreement some point afterwards. No, like talk to your client. When do you really want to close?
Right. And the money, the down payment goes at what time, when the
So
buyer signs?
no, it goes, well, when the buyer signs the rider.
Right.
Yes. And when I go into on the contracts class, that'll go through how the steps of how the payments and everything are made on there. Yeah. So the final few things is, so if you're doing business already in New Jersey, you know that the New Jersey MLS does not recognize coming soons. The Garden State MLS does. Because they're so
NJ
annoying.
is so,
I have fought with them. So here was my resolution with them.
God bless them.
So, I have a little bit of the attorney in me always comes out, right? So I told him, I said, okay, look, I spoke to the real estate commission, gone back and forth. I'm like, I can give you numerous lists of everyone that's doing coming soons. Like there is nothing wrong with it coming soon. They said, we don't like it. And I'm like, that's great. You don't like it. Okay, fine. We're not going to call it a coming soon. We're just going to delay it. So that's the answer. A delayed listing.
Yep.
So they have implemented, and this was a direct cause from my mouth. They implemented a delay in the listing. So you can put a listing in the, this is NJMLS only, okay? When you put it in, you can delay it by right up to 3 days. Okay, so you put it in and you have 3 days. Technically, you can't go out and say it's coming soon because it's not coming soon because it's already in there, right? It'll be open for showings on such and such day. So you just have to change your terminology a little bit, but you just need to know these things. But you can also, you could delay your listing up to 30 days if you have a form where your seller signs in like 10 different places saying, yeah, I acknowledge. And then you can delay it up to 30 days. Again, can't say coming soon, although I see it all the time, but that's the technicality of it. You just say, open for showings on such and such date.
I have a New Jersey MLS question versus GS MLS. So the towns that, because I know that everybody has their different areas in which they specialize, and there are sometimes you'll go onto New Jersey listing, and they'll have 2 different lock boxes, right? One is for GSL. So the border towns, so along South Orange Town and along Suffering, are they mostly NJMLS or are they mostly?
Those are NJMLS.
Those are NJMLS.
Yeah, you get more into Garden State MLS and when you're hitting up towards Passaic.
Okay.
Yeah, so when we were just talking before with Anna, I was talking about Greenwood Lake, like that
Right.
area up there and going in that way. And then that hovers all the way down, it goes like that, down into Newark, that area. That's all
Right.
Garden State.
Right. So so for our friends that are in the Middletown office, their Jersey business would be along Greenwood Lake and Passaic and along Sussex County.
Yes,
And
that's
that's
Garden,
Jersey.
that's Garden State, and Garden State does have coming soons.
Yeah, okay.
But if it's listed in the ML, if it's listed in New Jersey, it's gonna have New Jersey lot spots, most likely.
Yeah, if you list whatever MLS you list in, you have to have that specific lockbox key.
Do
Yeah.
those two MLSs have a data share? Can you find one, the listings in either one?
No, they don't play nice or easy.
But sometimes they'll put a comma on it.
Yeah.
So also, isn't there a rule that if it's a border town, it must be in both?
So if it overlaps in the rules and regs of each MLS, it tells you what towns that you are basically pledging to put your listings in. Okay, and so you look at those, and if you know you're in the border area, you want to check and make sure, because if your town is listed in both, you need to belong to both.
Required.
Well, no, if you're not a member of the NJMLS, you don't have to. You could just list it. If you're only a member of one of those MLSs, you're not forced to list it in the other. But if you're a member of both, then you have to list it in both.
So the other problem that comes in that I warned them for, so parents. So, is that depends upon where the agent's primary MLS is, that they could use one or other of the lockboxes. And if you don't, I've had a situation where it was listed in New Jersey MLS and I got into the property and it was a Garden State lockbox only. And I called and complained and they said, they're not supposed to do that, but they do. And nobody, yes,
No one does
they do nothing about it. So for me, for you guys, not to be in that situation, you really need to join both. Garden State.
It's worth it. I agree, it's worth it.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
For a listing, it's absolutely win-win to have both lockboxes on there, because you can get people from both sides going, coming in, especially because in Bergen, you want people from GS coming in and showing it as well.
Yeah, I mean,
you're
you
opening
can
up
get
more.
through Supra if you pay a little bit extra and get the premium Supra. And it may even be in the basic, you can get one-time codes
Yes.
that you could give somebody. So they can still get access.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If the agent's willing to give it. There's some agents.
Some agents are-
well, they have to know how to work it.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
true.
problem.
Right, right.
That's the
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
So you can always, do a little video and send it to them. This is how you,
Yeah.
that's something I would do.
Actually, Super has a video.
Huh?
Super has a video.
Yeah,
You can do
Super has a
one-time
video,
codes with
yes.
super lockboxes?
Huh?
You can do one-time codes with super
Yes.
lockboxes?
Yeah.
I've never seen them.
Yeah, that's because no one knows how to work it.
And that's what they use in both MLSs is Supra?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they use Supra. Mhm.
Yeah.
I did.
I just yesterday deleted Supra.
Now put it back on. Okay, last, real quick, because I'm almost done. Square footage. So another big fight with NJMLS is that they will not allow you to don't put square footage in there. They get really mad with you. They don't have a place for you to put square footage and they really don't like to see it in the comments either.
What's wrong with them?
How do you do comps?
Yeah, that's right.
You do comps based on the style of home, the amount of bedrooms, bathrooms, the area. Yeah, it gets a little more difficult. There has been fight after fight
So
with
what's
them.
the price per square foot?
Wow.
So, yeah, can you just go out to the public records?
Yes, you
and-
can.
Yeah, I mean, again, people just pull the MLS and you can find, remember, your age, it comes now with the newer homes that you see, the older homes, development after development, the same home. So you
Right.
really don't have the problem. And I think that's where they got that mentality because everything was built the same. You go into this community and you got all this homes. You go in here, you have all the same homes, and they were just pretty much the same unless there was an addition added on. So, and now they're like, oh my God, you're gonna get sued. Personally, I think, well, we will go in another whole conversation. But-
This is
so-
recorded, so keep it-
Real quick. So last thing, rentals, just a quick note on rentals that just is an interesting fact, lead paint inspection requirement could be coming to New York. So yeah, New Jersey is like a test state and that goes into effect in July. So if anyone wants to go learn how to do lead paint and get certified in doing it, you can go make a lot of money because it's gonna be the towns running it and they don't have people to do it. So this is gonna be real fun. That's it. So before I do, I have my 3 takeaways, but I want to bring Anthony up real quick, if you don't mind, just to go over. I know I just wanted to real quick talk about the closings again, because I think that's really one of the major focuses and
Can we go
important
back
points.
just real quick to that property report? So want to be respectful of you guys' time. I'm gonna take like 2 minutes. First off, great job, Lisa. She's amazing. Really enjoy having her here to help us and help our agents. So one of the things that I always focus on this real estate report card is this new household formation number. So when rates are going up and buyers are already skeptical about the market and about prices, their next question is always, well, you know, do you think prices are going to drop? These are one of the charts that we use to show them why, you know, we're really not seeing that happening. So basically what you're looking at in Rockland here is out of a total of 3,541 new household formations. So that's new families being started. That's, you know, people getting married, having kids and moving out and looking to either rent a house or buy a house. Out of those 3,500 each year, about 23, almost 2,400 are looking to purchase homes. So then you see the number of homes that are actually being built. And this is a chart of the needed homes, which are the, you know, the boxes, and then the checks for the actual supply. So again, supply and demand clearly shows here that, you know, there's no new construction going on and we only have this existing housing stock to work with, which is a good indicator that, you know, values will continue to rise. I have a couple of other tools that we've been really using to help buyers to understand the bigger picture with things in terms of appreciation and compounded interest and how sitting on the sidelines for yet another year is not going to have them earning appreciation, building equity. Right now, we have a low inventory. We have, you know, lots of challenges around that. Another reason why what Lisa's talking about today is so important because you got to increase your market share. So why not look to Jersey where the deals are more predictable, easier to close on time. When you can have a more predictable process, you can set up better systems around it where you can provide a better experience overall for your clients. That's one of the things that I love about New Jersey. In New Jersey, we are, well, we're doing this in New York as well. I don't know, you guys tell me this is the first time I'm actually rolling this out. So we have a $5,000 close on time guarantee. That's it, that will pay your sellers $5,000 if we are not ready to close by that contract closing date. So on top of all the other bells and whistles, consent, you know, contingencies we're waiving, we're also adding in a $5,000 close on time guarantee. In New Jersey, it won me a deal already. I know that it will work a lot, very well there. What do you guys think about support for that here? Is that something that as a listing agent you would like?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pay to close for the loan you're talking about, right?
closed
Close.
For the loan,
for the deal.
for the deal.
Yeah, I mean, you know, granted, there's a lot of fine print in here about, you know, title and municipals and things that are out of our control. But overall, we're gonna pay your seller up to $5,000 if we don't get that deal
So
ready
this
to
is a
close
part
on
of the
time.
presentation with the offer, when we're talking about the pros and the cons. Okay, these are the terms for this deal, this deal, this deal, and deal number 5 has this additional factor to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was one thing I just wanted to quickly mention. The other thing, guys, is that if you have some, and this isn't always the case. Yeah, sure.
Where does the 5,000 come from?
That comes from my branch, right out of my pocket. So we're gonna make
Less
sure.
funds for us, but that's-
Yeah. Yeah, right. We'll split it, all right?
No salad, you get a sheet.
So the, you know, the thing that we're seeing a lot is you have those buyers that are very stubborn and they're losing out, they're missing out by 10 or 15,000, not willing to do what it really takes to, you know, they don't want to overpay. So, you know, we have tools to demonstrate why it's not overpaying. One of them is a bid over asking tool that takes the market value, the list price, and then your offer above the list price and shows based on 5% appreciation, how long it's going to take for the appreciation to catch up and for you to break even on that over asking bid. But the other thing that we're doing is we're taking leads today. We can get them through underwriting, approved, committed on, minus appraisal, minus title, minus insurance, and give that buyer the confidence that they would need to waive their financing and basically become a cash deal. Now, is that going to always, you know, guarantee that you don't have to pay tippy top dollar? Not always, but it's something worth trying if you have one of those stubborn buyers that continues to lose out and they're just missing it and they would otherwise have an amazing offer. Cool. So thank you guys very much for your time and everything today. Yeah.
Is this information what Liz is sending us? It's in there?
It should be, yeah. If not, I have
This is in
most of your
there.
emails at this point.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants, just come and see me before you get out of here and I'll make sure we get this over to you.
Question.
All right.
Sure. This is mentioned that this is available to be drilled down into specific towns. Is that?
Not really. I mean, I can get you the name of the town on it, but it's usually just going to be for the count. It's usually going to give
So
county
the bigger review.
statistics. Yeah. Okay. Countywide usually. Yep.
So what is this state?
This is from MBS Highway, I believe, which is a great service that I use mainly for tracking interest rates. But then they have some amazing tools like the real estate report card, the community report, and that bid over ask tool, which in addition to, like, again, showing that break even, how many months it's going to take you to catch up, it also gives you an AVM. Gives us an AVM of what the house is comping out at right now based on recent sales too. So it's another evidence for the buyers to see, hey, you know what, this actually really is listed under market, not just you telling them that, or a combination of you and me telling them that. You know, I find that I know I would like to see things in writing in most cases. So it's another way to just hammer that point home.
Thank you so much.
Is that a national tool or just?
Yeah, I mean, you can literally do it for any property. So it is national, yeah.
But is that specific to mortgage brokers?
It's mostly for mortgage brokers because again, this is a tool, but it's mainly for tracking interest rates and MBS.
So we can subscribe to it.
You could, yeah, you absolutely could. It's a little pricey, but you know, it might be worth it. Sure.
Thank you so much.
My
Andrew.
pleasure. Thank you, Liz. Thank you all.
Okay, so thank you so much. I mean, I know you and I have this very bantery kind of relationship, but I can't say how much we appreciate your time and your generosity in sharing this information with us. It's, you know, our jobs as realtors just seem to be getting harder and harder, right, as we do this. So, you know, we've got a lot of challenges with rates rising right now and inventory being not as plentiful as we would like it, but we're working on changing all of those things. Who you align yourself in business matters, right? Who you're aligned with. So we bring people to you for you to speak to, for experts and resources for you to use. Please dig in, pick up the phone, get in touch with these people. This tool is phenomenal, Anthony. Thank you so much. So again, thank you to Lisa and to Anthony and for lunch.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Amazing. All right, everybody, talk amongst yourselves. Have a good day.
So I wear many hats. So I'm going to speak in both New York and New Jersey.
I know you were here, just.